hours. Welcome to Office Hours, your segment for all things Blake Lively. I'll work on the intro. But this is Office Hours where I will be answering questions regularly every evening at 5:30 p.m. Eastern until trial. And unless I'm attending something trial related, my goal is to be here for you guys every night at 5:30 to answer questions that you might have regarding the Blake Lively case, and also then to explain any things that I think are being described inaccurately in the media. um I think that there was a lot of like immediate reporting on the hearing, but I think a lot of things were tweeted out of context. Hey Australia, it must be early, huh? Good morning. Hey Mary. Hello, hello. So for the re-record, I'm Theresa. Hi from Scotland. Hi, cool. Hi from Norway. Oh my gosh. Hey guys. Hey from Jersey. What part of Jersey, Melissa? Having my first coffee. I'm from Arizona. Well, I'm having at my end of the day. Look, guys, I got merch. I got merch. I just washed it. Hi from South Carolina, South SoCal. How are you enjoying yourself? It's good. It's a good. What the hell day of the week is it? It's Thursday. um. All right. Did I say hey Dane, Terry? Um. Hey Crystal. Hey from Jersey. What part of Jersey you guys from? One day I want to travel to where everybody is from so I can go see all these amazing places. I really have not. I'm not well traveled. I will say that. So I've got a lot of places on my bucket list to go visit. San Francisco. See, I've never been to San Fran. Always wanted to go there. Um, so it's cool that you guys. San Diego. I have been to San Diego once, but only in '07. Rural Australia. Anna, did you see the movie Apex? Bergen County, Rivervale. Oh, cool. I was in Essex County. Apex takes place Texas Panhandle. That's a place on the bucket list. Apex takes place in freaking Australia. And the premise of this movie is that this woman goes out to by herself in the Australian wilderness and then takes directions from a guy that she doesn't know. I'll just leave it at that. But it's in Australia. So near Seattle. Happy Friday, Junior. So I wanted to have this live. I know um Charlize Theron is badass. Hey Philly. I have a funny story about Philly. Philly, remind me. I'm gonna wait 5 more minutes and then I'm gonna get going. I just want to give people a shot. But Philly, remind me that I have a Philly story about the attorneys from Blake Lively. Um, but yeah, no, like Charlize Theron reminds me. I don't know if you guys remember, but years ago there was this movie with Sylvester Stallone called Cliffhanger, and Sylvester Stallone played a mountain climber. No, I just started, and he did all his own stunts back then. This is, I think, the '90s. Can't think of better. So, like, I feel like Charlize Theron was like a combination of like Sylvester Stallone and Tom Cruise in this movie Apex, because this woman like scaled things that I'm just like, good for you. I need to start doing wall push-ups. Like, oh shit. I'm not gonna survive the apocalypse. Oh, my brother has a friend who's in the military, and he told me, he was like, yo, you just need to hope that you go out in the initial blast. It's like, you're not gonna make it. Ah, hi, Outer Banks. So that's it. West Orange. Oh, okay. My mom used to work in West Orange and I went to Montclair State. So, um, all right, guys. So let's get going. I wanted to just build a bunker. If you go to my website, I have a website. It's teresaconcepcion.com. And then on that website, I'm still in the process of developing it. I want to like link some of my YouTube's video from that website also, but I have a section for merch. Villanova, Columbus, Ohio. Do you see Dave Chappelle? Doesn't he live out there in Columbus, Ohio? Have you been to his comedy shows? I heard he bought like a firehouse and like does comedy shows out there. ATL. I haven't been to ATL in a minute. Before pandemic, I haven't been to ATL, but I like Atlanta also. I have family down there. Okay, so I want to go through my notes. These are like I took my notes on a sketch pad. Chappelle is 40 minutes. Comedy shows are very intimate. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I've seen Dave Chappelle so many times. Like when I was in college, he hadn't really blown up yet. And I remember, but he was well known, but he wasn't like Dave Chappelle. And I bought a ticket to go to teresaconcepcion.com. And I went to a New Year's Eve show at the Comedy Cellar. Okay, just picture like old school skinny Dave Chappelle. And we went to the New Year's Eve show. And the only joke that I remember, right, is that, and you guys would appreciate this because it's never with teeth themed. So the only joke I remember from his set, don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to do all the things. So Dave Chappelle said, he's like, I don't like going down on a woman because I don't think I'm good at it. And then the whole crowd was like, "Aw." And then he was like, fuck you. And then he was like, I'll be down there and I'm trying my best. And he's like, it hasn't gone well when the girl goes, come here. Oh, come here. He's like, come here. And then the freaking funny part of it is that he outed me because at the time I was there with my freaking boyfriend and I said that often. And I was like, just forget it. It's okay. You don't gotta worry about that. All right, there's something on the docket. Is it on the court listener? Because that's the one that I'm on. Um, so and then like I've seen him from that little place, the Comedy Cellar, to 2016. I saw him at Radio City Music Hall, and he had the Roots opening for him. And he used Radio City Music Hall as his workout room. He was like, I gotta do shows like this to overcharge the white people. That was really funny. Court order terminating motion to seal. Yeah. So this is just they are trying to um this isn't a big deal. This is just like what they're like sealing in terms of evidence. Um so but yeah, so from like my first time at the Comedy Cellar seeing Dave Chappelle, had to be like 2000, like somewhere around there, 2000, 2001. So then I like in 2016, 2017, I don't remember exactly when, he was at Radio City Music Hall and he was like, "Yeah, I gotta do these big ass shows for white people." So I could overcharge you. He was like, and he went to like the guys in the front, the people in the front row. He's like, "How much did you pay?" "Too much." Okay. So yes, Tuesday, I went to the pretrial conference. It was very interesting on a number of levels. It's been a minute since I've been to the Southern District of New York. And I will say, like, the tea, I dropped my eraser. The tea is that When I got there and I got to the floor right outside of Lyman's courthouse, um, courtroom, I don't have 14. It's not up yet on my thing. 1426. My thing is only, oh wait, letter motion for leave to file letter brief. Oh, for the fucking love of God. This man, Judge Lyman, really needs to hurry the hell up and do his motion for judgment on the pleadings, opinion and order, because everybody's fighting over shit that's not gonna matter in like a freaking week. Hold on. Joint letter from Michael Gottlieb. Hold on, guys. I just started. I just started. And then people told me to look on the docket. So I'm looking on the docket. Hello, everybody. Did you see the new file? Yeah. During the pretrial conference, the court requested a doubt bear hearing. They're unable to find a date next week. So it's not going to be a doubt bear hearing. He's out of the country. um yeah, I mean the court, they were just like, just you dropped this shit on us, like, with no notice. um Scheduling Thursday, May 7th or May 8th. So next Thursday or Friday instead of next Tuesday is when they could try to do the Dow Bear hearing. All right, hold on. What's happening with the stipulation? Why are people upset about the stip? I got the mixed jury instruction. Yada yada. That's it. What happened? What am I missing? Hey, something new dropped, but I don't understand. What the fuck is happening right now? Hold on. Espérate, wait. Lively is pissed about the mixed motive thing. Hold on. Order. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So then Ellen Garofalo did the stipulation with respect to the protected activity. Uh-huh. Trial only, and with respect to the FEHA retaliation claim. Ugh, whatever. And now these people want to talk shit about it. Probably because she didn't also say the aiding and abetting claim. I just started. Enough. Um Mixed motive is the timeline. She doesn't want to allow Justin Baldoni to have his timeline of events that justify why he would um fucking retaliate against her. So this whole trial, the first like half of trial is going to be Blake Lively, and she's going to spend all this time saying, look at everything Justin Baldoni did to me. That's her focus. Her focus is you know the internal stuff with tag and the communications, and we did this and this was us. Like, her whole thing is really going to be focusing on August of 2024. And what she doesn't want is that she doesn't want Baldoni to be able to talk about everything leading up to him reaching out to his PR team, right? So um and then but it's just, I don't know. Will they really go to trial? I don't know. I don't know. The whiteboard. Here, I'll tell you guys what's going on right now. This is where we are as of this after this pretrial conference. Okay. And I'm going to start by talking about FEHA. FEHA. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to boost or whatever the things are. You know, do all the things. I don't know if I did this right. There's supposed to be like some super chat function at some point. I'll figure this all out. But anyway, so FEHA has that part where it's the good faith basis. Sorry, I'm writing backwards, so, you know, don't judge me harshly. Good faith basis. Okay, that's just one of the elements of FEHA. And then that's one question. That's the fact issue of FEHA. That's a fact. And then on this side is, does FEHA apply? What are the defenses? None. Hold on. Okay, does FEHA apply to New Jersey? That's the law issue. Okay. Now, if you guys remember this timeline, okay? Remember when I predicted that the judge was going to do the motion for the order for the motion for summary judgment and motion for judgment on the pleadings on Friday, March 13th. That was my prediction, okay? And then if you remember on Thursday night, March 12th at 8 p.m., Blake Lively's team uploaded a letter with a case from the Second Circuit. And they held that letter for 3 days because that Second Circuit opinion came down on 3/9. And they waited until 8 p.m. on 3/12, the night before I suspect Lyman was going to drop his original order, right? So what happened Friday the 13th instead? Remember? Judge Lyman denied Lively's motion for sanctions against Friedman for his public statements. So he still dropped an order, I think, because he was pissed about this last minute filing. But what did the last minute filing say is an MJOP should not be done at the end. That's what the Second Circuit said. And the Second Circuit is basically his boss. So now he's got a dilemma because his boss told him don't grant this at the end of a case. Why? Because when you have facts, it really should go to the jury or it should be a motion for summary judgment. So by stipulating, okay, what they did was they took the fact issue out of the judge's hands. The judge doesn't have to make a decision on whether there's sufficient evidence for the jury to find that Blake Lively had a good faith basis. Don't worry, Anna, I just started. Okay, so this is what this is the effect of the stipulation. For the FEHA claims, they said she's got a good faith basis. Now, here's the I think whatever the hell Baldoni side is trying to be a little sneaky because they said they're gonna have the stipulation for retaliation, but they forgot aiding and abetting. So if I had to bet, I think that's what Gottlieb and company want to put in their letter, that they have to stipulate to aiding and abetting, not just retaliation. Okay. Now, but either way, once the petty bullshit is resolved, what the stipulation does is that it takes all of this out. Okay. So then now Lyman has just the law And that's appropriate for a judgment on the pleadings. A judgment on the pleadings means you take the complaint and you take the answer. Complaint, answer, and that's it. That's all you look at. You don't look at evidence, you don't look at nothing, you don't look at depths. You just look at the complaint and you look at the answer and you figure out if you can decide a legal issue based on just these two documents. So, based on just these two documents, has Blake Lively said enough for her to say FEHA, California law, should apply to stuff that happens in New Jersey? Now, the fact that they stipulated makes this more appropriate because the Second Circuit, his boss said, don't do this when there are facts at issue. So that's why I think this um makes it easier for Judge Lyman to grant the motion to get rid of FEHA. Yeah, it's smart. It's a good play. If you looked at my video from last night, I posted it today too. I was like, if it was me, I would stipulate because I think there's more upside for Baldoni than downside. Um, so that's the FEHA thing, right? And like I said, once they figure that out, so really all of these things that Lively and company are arguing about is going to be irrelevant once it comes down to FEHA. Why? Because now it's going to come down to just a breach of contracts. Okay. No. Oops. Wayfair, listen, you only appeal if you lose, right? Thank you. You only appeal if you lose. And I don't really think Baldoni is going to lose on appeal if his lawyers do the timeline. Okay. And what's the timeline? Hey, Melbourne. Good morning. Good morning, mate. Good day. I made a shrimp on the barbie. That's my attempt. Okay. That's my attempt. Also, Finding Nemo is like my favorite Pixar movie, so I have an affinity for Australia. I don't know if that makes insults you or not. Um, can they use nice pool? I don't know. I think I think like nice pool might be something that the judge says is too distracting because there's other things that are in the timeline that prove the same point, right? So if you look at this is January. If FEHA gets dismissed, this is what we're working with. In January, there was the meeting, and they signed the rider. And in the rider, paragraph 10 is the provision that she says Baldoni violated, and that's the you shall not be sarcastic, you should not change your attitude, you should not blah 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 blah, because I brought these claims. Doesn't the judge see how ridiculous this lawsuit is? Of course. What the fuck can he do though? You know what? Just a quick section, just a quick side note, okay? Because I feel like you guys would appreciate this. It's not that she's fighting the stipulation, it's that she wants them to include aiding and abetting. If I had to guess, that's what this is about. They left out aiding and abetting. Um, it's two claims for FEHA, right? And they only conceded to good faith basis for one. That's what that I'm assuming that that's what that's going to be about. Um, but listen, let me close my door real quick. So a couple of years ago, one of my neighbors' dogs got out. It was a pit bull and like ran down the block to my other neighbor's house and bit the lady's other dog, right? And these people did not get along. So it was like all the neighborhood gossip. But it was a $900 vet bill. And the people who owned the pit bull like refused to pay the vet bill. So then the lady, like on principle, was like, I'm gonna fucking sue you. So she sued, right? No, they didn't put him down. Um, so long story short, these people go to court, and at some point, the pit bull family who's wealthy, like did a motion for sanctions against the other one, and they attached because they wanted their legal fees paid. and they attach their invoices. And those people have spent almost $10,000 on legal fees just out of stubbornness because they refuse to pay their neighbor's $900 freaking vet bill. And I remember telling her, I'm like, that's what happens when you just have money to be petty. That's what this fucking case is. That's what this Blake Lively case is. Blake Lively is the fucking pit bull family that just, for like this much conflict, they had to go and create like this whole fucking like trauma for everybody. Um, the deal with her responding to the stipulation is that if you read it, it is for trial only. That's fine. That's what they're saying is for trial. That means that she can't say, "Oh, he agreed," and then case over. It means that like when they'll tell the jury the parties concede, right? No, it's not gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be for trial only. I think, remember, there's two FEHA claims. There's retaliation and aiding and abetting. Remember, TAG lost their motion for summary judgment because they did it wrong. And I thought they would do it right. So I didn't even bother reading it, and that was my bad. But if you look at the Garofalo letter, they only mention retaliation. So I'm pretty sure that they're doing this because they want them to also agree that it's going to be for retaliation. I mean, aiding and abetting. So check out the merch. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to do all the things. Um, yeah, I mean, litigation is expensive, and Blake Lively had 19 people. Philly. So whoever's for Philly, you'll appreciate this story. Okay. So the associates were there. They're all junior, and get out there. I show up. Okay, I'm early, and I get off the elevator. Okay, and there's six associates. One, two, three, four girls, and two boys. Okay, and it was hilarious to me because I show up and they're outside the courtroom and they're so fucking excited. They're super cute. They're all like in their brand new um like suits, that they're just so cute. And they had these two big ass, like those carts. They had these two big things. One, two, three, four. Okay. They had 8 boxes of documents. Okay. All for the Dalbert motion. Like, I looked at the thing, like I couldn't see exactly, but it was for the Dalbert. Okay. Yeah. So 6 associates were there outside waiting at 8:30 in the fucking morning with 8 boxes. Okay. I don't know. Because then I'm looking and I'm like, this is only like 15 minutes each side. It's not like they're gonna have time to dig through a shit ton of boxes. And then I'm like, well, maybe it's because Judge Lyman said, I want hard copies of all the evidence, and I want them in binders. But then I was like, that doesn't make sense because he asked for that Monday and it's Tuesday. So this was all for show. Okay. So they have these 6 associates and everyone's in a circle and they're chatting and they're like, oh my God, we're here. We made it. It's federal court. Like, da da da. Yay. It's like so excited. And then there's a new partner who walks up. New partner. Actually, it's probably, so listen, when there are pro hoc vice motions, that means, hey, judge, let me in and allow me to practice law in this court just for this case because I'm not admitted in this district. Okay. But typically, if a partner is coming in on the case, they've been behind the scenes the whole time. They're just now filing just to make an appearance as a technicality. But I think that this person should be like up to speed. So this new partner like walks up to the group, right? And they look at the boxes and they're like, oh my gosh, what a heroic effort. Great job, guys. And then the partner goes away, and the partner says, "Oh, I'm gonna go like scope out the courthouse because we're gonna be here for a fucking month." So, so I say all that to say they're planning on trial. Okay, just based on me looking at this fucking ridiculousness, they're planning on going to trial. And then they opened the courtroom, okay, and little by little, like more people start showing up. And all right, hold on. Let's see. So guys, this is the funniest part. When I go back to New York, they have to set the date for the Dalbert hearing. Okay. So I don't know. That's just Lyman. Okay. That's just Lyman. And the bench. And then over here, again, it was like there's a table that seats four people and a table that seats four people. And it's like one is Dalbert is the exhibit stuff for the expert reports. And all these lawyers just started pouring in, and they had to bring in chairs from another fucking courtroom, right? Because it was like all these Blake Lively lawyers just started pouring in and pouring in. And then there was like a chair that was just for the bailiff. And he put like a cheap bottle of water on the chair to like hold his chair. And they kept trying to take his fucking chair. And the bailiff was like, "That's my chair." So ultimately, Blake Lively's crazy ass legal team had like 19 people. Okay. And then on the Baldoni side, you know, a bailiff is like a security guard for the court. So then there's like, the partners, Fritz, Garofalo, whoever. But they had, I think, six people. So this was what the fucking judge was looking at. He was like, all these people were cramming in. And then the other associates, the first six, they had to sit with the audience in the back to observe. So Blake Lively, this was mostly partners. So this whole thing, it was like 3 hours. This whole thing cost her like $50,000 to $60,000 for a 3 hour conference because all of those people were on the clock. That's all they got. Remember what I said. When you don't have the law, you pound on the facts. When you don't have the facts, you pound on the law. When you don't have either, you pound on the table. This is pounding on the table. I have never in my entire existence imagined that 19 freaking lawyers would show up for a pretrial conference. I was like, Snyder was there, and I was like telling her, I'm like, "Yo, I haven't seen this shit." Like, you would think that there was like a freaking oil spill or something. Would a judge find all those lawyers intimidating? I think he would find all of those lawyers annoying. He was like, "This is so stupid." I think, I think this guy was like, at some point he rolled his eyes at Gottlieb, right? Like Gottlieb was saying something, and I forget what it was. I have to go through my notes to remember. But at one point, Gottlieb like wouldn't concede a point, and the judge Leibel was just like, and he did it twice. He was like, and Gottlieb got shook, right? So it was hilarious. Um, so it's my first time ever seeing the man in person, but I liked Judge Lyman. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, are they milking this case just for the hours? Of course, first of all. But number two, I don't think it's hard to milk this case because these people are on the Titanic. Okay? They're on the Titanic and it hit the iceberg. They're sinking. They're taking on water. Okay? They're sinking. They're like, we don't want to go in the freezing water. Everybody's like, save yourself. Okay? That's what the hell is happening right now. All of them. Freaking Ezra Hudson was nervous. Gottlieb got shook when fucking Lionel was rolling his eyes. So it's like, this is the Titanic. Okay? Boat. And then this is like Gottlieb, like outside the boat. And I'm fucking like, I don't know. Hold on, wait. Like water is coming on the boat. You know what I mean? Because it's getting closer and closer to trial. And they're all like, oh shit. Oh shit. We gotta do something. We have to save ourselves. So they're pulling out all the stops, like any bullshit argument that they could possibly think of at this point to like try to save face is like what they're doing right now. Okay, let me try to find it because I know I like did something. I must have put like a star or something. I know I fucking starred the thing about anyway. I don't remember. I think it was an IT thing. It was something about one of the like social media things. Oh, I remember because fucking Gottlieb didn't want to concede that there might have been other things that led to um Justin Baldoni retaliating. And like Michael Gottlieb wouldn't concede that. And he was just like, okay. Let me go through the comments. Yes, this has been a good behind the scenes for the Jack and Rose. Jack and Rose died. She let him go. They're not part of this story. Blake Lively's on the other side of the fucking boat. This is the untold story of the Titanic. Oh shit, that's funny. This is the untold story of the fucking Titanic because the fucking Blake Lively is ruining her career. So I wanted to go through with you guys um the profits argument because I feel like most of the media got it enough that she's saying he looks like a broken man. Listen, I think I don't know. I don't know. These people are very different. These people are fucking different. But I want before like I don't like to use the whiteboard once it gets too dark because then the ring from my camera light shows and you can't really see it. So before it gets too dark, I want to walk you guys through this lost profits issue. Um because it's sneaky and it's I don't like the media are just like, oh, Blake Lively claims she lost 38 million to 138 million and she hasn't really been acting. But if the it's more nuanced than that and it's actually more sneaky. So the first guy that they have as an expert, I forget how to pronounce his name, but the dude is K, Kalata or something like that. He had a treatise. That means that this dude wrote the book on the subject of how to calculate lost profits. Okay. Judge just denied it. Lyman denied Ezra. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. Wait, wait, wait. Wait, wait, wait. Let me look. They fucking denied it already. Oh my god, this dude hates this fucking case so much. So much. He hates this case. Think is gonna be on his deathbed denying motion for leave. The court will hear the parties at the conclusion of the Dalberry hearing. It's like, can you people just fucking talk to me next week? He denied what? So Ellen Garofalo and the Justin Baldoni stipulated that they would agree that Blake Lively had a good faith basis under FEHA retaliation. And then Blake Lively's side say, we want to respond to that letter um, because, you know, like, we want to respond to the stipulation. Basically, like, they're trying to get into another fight and they wanted the judge's permission to file a letter. And the judge is like, could you guys stop arguing? Like, no, like, we'll just talk about it next week. That's why it's funny because I'm like, this dude is over it. He's like, stop with the fucking writing. Like, you guys are just generating like billable hours at this point. Like, and he said to them at one point, he was like, you guys need to cooperate because um if I'm the one who has to come up with a solution, I guarantee like neither side is gonna like it. Um, because a letter is easy to respond to. It doesn't require much thought. Is can I have permission? It's like no. So that's why. Okay. This dude is over this fucking case. He's over this case. You know why he's over this case? Because also, typically, it's magistrate judges who do all of the discovery stuff. So, like, a magistrate judge is like under a district court judge. And the magistrate judge is really the person who does all the administrative stuff that's supposed to happen. And like apparently both sides refused to do the magistrate to allow a magistrate. So Judge Lyman has been dealing with their bullshit that's typically like not his job to deal with. So he's been dealing with like stuff beneath him for yeah, like and it's not exactly but sort of. But like so he's been doing intern work. They've been making his ass do fucking intern work. Magistrate's like an intern judge. That's a good analogy. Like they're making him do fucking intern work and he's had it. Dude is done. Dude is done. What is the letter request leave? No. Unexplored. No. No, you can't sue. Um okay. Listen. By show of comments, who needs me to run down Justin Baldoni's claims that he could have had in this case? And the dismissal of the amended complaint. Do you guys know that or do we need me to go through it again? I'll wait. You guys are always like, "Do you ever think of teaching?" This is what I kind of feel like. Bueller. I finally understand. I know it. Okay, cool. I understand that part. Okay. So, now um okay. Okay. So, let me talk about Blake Lively's damages. Okay. I just started. You haven't missed much, MG. The Manat letter. Okay. Let's look at this. On April 30th, Ezra Hudson filed a letter and by no more than 5 pages. And he's like, we could just talk about it. Right? We could just talk about it. So here's what happened for like the people who are just joining. Okay. Judge Lyman has to make a decision on the motion for judgment on the pleadings. Okay, and at the court hearing on the preliminary conference on on Tuesday, he asked, "Are you guys gonna stipulate to the fact that Blake Lively had a good faith faith basis to make her complaint?" Why would they stipulate? Because this is a fact issue. Okay, so but they have two FEHA claims. Okay, there's retaliation and there's still the claim that Tag aided and abetted. Tag is the PR company that Wayfarer hired. So the allegation is that It Ends With Us movie retaliated against Blake Lively and that Tag aided and abetting the retaliation. And these are the two claims under FEHA. Okay. Now, the argument is FEHA should not apply to stuff that happened in New Jersey. This part of it is a law issue. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see this. Hold on. All right. Okay. This part of it, does FEHA apply to stuff that didn't happen in New Jersey? That's a law question. Did Blake Lively have a good faith basis? That's a fact question. Okay. So by stipulating to this, then it takes out this issue for the judge, and the judge can just focus on the law question, which is what's more appropriate when it's a motion for judgment on the pleadings. A motion for judgment on the pleadings means you just look at the complaint and you just look at the answer. That's it. Now, what's the difference between a motion for judgment on the pleadings and a motion to dismiss? Okay. Blake, you start with a complaint. Okay. Um, Complaint. So, complaint. Okay. When you get a complaint, you get two options. You could do an answer, or you could do a motion to dismiss. So a motion to dismiss says, Judge, all you have to do is look at this one pleading, okay? And based on this one pleading, you can say that they did not state like they didn't make a good allegation against me, okay? So what I have been saying is that in the second amended complaint, they argued Title 7, which is federal, okay? And they argued FEHA, which is state. Okay, so there's two buckets of claims. So if it had been me, I would have done a motion to dismiss FEHA from the very beginning because I read their complaint, and I think they would have, like, Baldoni would have lost a motion to dismiss Title 7. She said enough in her complaint to get in the door. But you guys, and you don't even need a law license to know, why are we applying California law to stuff that happened in New Jersey? So if they had done this part, if TAG and the Wayfarer parties had done this part at the very beginning, FEHA would already be out. But they didn't do that. Now, this is the scenario. There was a complaint, there was an answer, then there was a long period of time where there was, I'm just going to do it like that, discovery, okay? And now they want to do a motion for judgment on the pleadings. What's that mean? A motion for judgment on the pleadings is you look at the complaint, but now you also look at the answer, okay? And you say, Your Honor, just based on these two documents now, we're saying that this complaint didn't make a good allegation against us. Well, what's the problem? Now you're at the end of the case where there's been all this discovery. So it's not necessarily just a law issue. Okay. No, they wouldn't be able to change it to New Jersey. You only get to pick one state. Then that's when they say, then that's when you could be like, now she's forum shopping. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to like go state from state to state until someone says, okay, you got a good case. So now that you guys know that it's like a motion for judgment on the pleadings, this is what it looks like. We got the second amended complaint from Lively. We got the answer that they filed. Answer. And there's like a year plus of discovery. And now they have this thing, Judge, look at these two things. And there's like a motion for judgment on the pleadings. Okay. It's saying, just look at this. But what happened? The Second Circuit said you shouldn't do a motion for judgment on the pleadings when you've had discovery. That's the bad part of this motion for judgment on the pleadings, that is that it's at the very end. So And why? Because there's facts. You can't make just a law decision when there's facts. That's the argument. Okay. So that's why there was the stipulation. Lyman could narrow it to tortious interference. No, that's not true. Abuser. Yeah, because they're arguing FEHA shit. Okay, just ignore it. They're being stupid. They're fighting until the bitter end. So they're still arguing FEHA. So now FEHA has two parts. It has the fact part and it has the law part. And the stipulation takes this part off the table. The only reason that now Blake Lively's team is upset about it is because they didn't add, I think, aiding and abetting. Yes, the judge denied the letter. The judge said we could talk about this shit next week in person. That's what that means. He's like, I don't want a letter. I have enough shit to read. You guys are being fucking childish. So that's it. So that's what the stipulation was designed to do. The stipulation was designed to take out the fact issue so that the judge can just look at the law issue and figure out whether or not FEHA should apply to stuff that happens in New Jersey. So again, this new Ezra Hudson thing, I think all of this is going to be irrelevant because he's going to dismiss FEHA. So there's like these, so he needs to hurry up is the takeaway from this. If Judge Lyman wants to stop wasting people's time on arguing about what's going to be admissible under FEHA, then he needs to fucking get rid of FEHA. So snap to it, Lyman. Will you be going to the hearing? I plan to. Let's see when it is. Given that complaints are treated as protected activity, how can the defendant establish a lawful law of time? That's the timeline. And if FEHA stays in, let's look at the timeline. Okay. The judge denied Blake Lively's request to preclude Baldoni from introducing his evidence. Okay. So the timeline, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, January. So if FEHA comes in, let's say if FEHA is not denied and now these people have a stipulation, January is still the starting point. Why is January the starting point? Because they stipulated that she had a good faith basis for making her complaint. So Ellen Garofalo at the pretrial hearing said, if we stipulate, then nothing from before January 2024 should come in because there's no need. We already agreed that she had a good faith basis to make her complaint and we addressed it in the meeting. So the, like Jamie Heath looking at her while she has topless, whatever, the Baldoni of it all, like none of that will come in. That's the benefits of Baldoni because the stipulation locks them into the, hey Odette, it locks them into the timeline, right? So then Blake Lively now wants to say he's an abuser. Justin Baldoni's an abuser, so he can't have, it shouldn't be evidence allowed that he could fucking defend himself. February, March, April, May. I want him to deny this shit like ASAP because I want to be right. I want him to prove me right. I'm like, hey, you about to dismiss FEHA and prove me right already? I like being right. Okay, so Ryan Reynolds unfollowed. And then in June was the PGA letter. Don't forget to like, don't forget to follow, don't forget to share, don't forget to retweet or whatever the fuck it is that you do on this app. Okay, and then here she said no promo. And then in August, this is the expert part, right? In August, she did the promo by herself of the products. Okay. And then said Baldoni is going to be in the basement. We can't hype you. I don't know why, because I've already fucking signed up for everything there is to sign up for. Um, so you put them in the basement. This is no pictures. Now, what else does the stipulation do? Remember when they tried to move their protected activity? If FEHA still comes in, she can't change her protected activity. Why? Because the party stipulated to that she had a good faith basis for bringing her complaint. So the complaint is a protected activity. That's another reason why they're probably fucking pissed, because Ellen Garofalo wasn't really specific. Her refusing. That's what she's saying, but I don't think they're gonna buy it because like they stipulated to this. That's another benefit. So Justin Baldoni did a smart thing by stipulating, because if they win and FEHA's dismissed, it doesn't matter at all. And if they lose and FEHA doesn't come in, it means that January was her protected activity and that she can't argue August. And now the judge has denied Blake's attempt to preclude Baldoni from introducing all this. So really, it's like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Blake Lively would have you believe that the reason he engaged in all these PR activities in August, including boosting, and we will concede that we boosted a video saying Blake Lively doesn't take domestic violence seriously. But why did we do that? Because she created all of these PR issues, most significantly the PGA letter, in which she says she spent a year and a half, 1.5 years, systematically like undermining Justin Baldoni, and admitted in this PGA letter publicly to having a dispute between the parties, because she said Jamie Heath and Baldoni won't, like, you won't find letters from them, right? So she disclosed a public beef, and then she unfollowed him, and then she had the cast unfollow him. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is it logical for you to conclude, because that's the thing, it has to be 51%, okay? Is it 51% likely? When you're in civil court, that's all it is. It's 51%. Is it 51% likely that Justin Baldoni retaliated? He had a right to defend himself. He had a right to call PR. He had a right to boost things, whatever he wanted to boost, because these are all the things that they did to him. Is it logical to conclude that he did all this because of this one January meeting that was a successful HR meeting, because she concedes that nothing inappropriate ever happened? Or is it more logical for you to conclude that he got PR because of all of the things that she did to him in the 3 months leading up to the movie premiere? That's what she wants to keep out, and that's what the judge said could come in. Um, I don't I don't think, I think he's gonna dismiss FEHA. Can we be the jury and just say Lively loses? Because again, that's why what stops Lively from going back to August is the stipulation. That was the point of it. The stipulation was to lock in a timeline and agree to a certain set of facts. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to do the things. Um, so that's the thing. Protected activity is limited, I think, to January, because that's the stip. She had a good faith basis for bringing her complaint, in which case, they didn't say she had a good faith basis for not taking pictures with him in August. See the difference? Think about what they're agreeing to. They said a good faith basis for making her complaint. That narrows the timeline to January. That was smart. They didn't say, oh, she had a good faith basis and it was a protected activity. We'll agree that she had a good faith basis not to take pictures with him. Fuck that. That's for the jury. But they'll concede that she had a good faith basis for January in the timeline. Yeah. That's why I said yesterday, I posted a video from my live on Tuesday where I was like, if it was me, I would stipulate. I think it's a good move. I think it's a strong move, because then also, listen, did you guys realize that Blake Lively was trying to like double the length of this trial? I wouldn't be mad about the stipulation. It's all strategy. This is chess. Now we're in legal chess. This is federal rules of civil procedure. This is litigation chess. You give up a pawn, for like better shit down the way. I don't know how to play actual chess, but they conceded this little point so that they can work on the bigger points. Um, because Friedman did not include the contract issues, can they be brought to trial? They can be brought to trial in the way that like they could say she misrepresented. Like if they bring in the Forbes interview and she's like, you know, in the Forbes interview, she's saying, I don't tell people that I need authorship to feel fulfillment, right? So 3 months later was when she had that circumcision conversation with him. Hey, Bomba, we need to give security some floors. You need a P.O. box. Okay. That's a lot of different things to talk about. So yeah, so the question is the same. The legal questions. Now, a breach of contract claim is easier for both sides because FEHA requires protected activity, good faith basis, retaliation under FEHA statutory definition. What did Blake Lively define retaliation as in her fucking contract? You shall not be sarcastic. You shall not have a change of attitude. That's a lot easier than the fucking, yeah, like you shall not change your demeanor. Like that's the stupidest contract provision I've ever heard in my entire life. Like this whole case can be a law school course, like a 2-semester law school course. Hey Australia. Um so so the other thing was, right? The judge was like, "How long do you guys think?" And then Blake Lively, it was Ezra Hudson who was like, you said it would be like 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe we can't hype because YouTube pays more for horizontal format live streams. I don't, there's so many fucking rules on this thing. I'm gonna figure it out. But if you want to donate to my New York trip, you guys, is givesendgo.com/facts like snacks. Okay. So donate to that page. And then I just joined the YouTube content creator partnership program. So I'm gonna do like memberships and levels. So what I figured was, since you guys seem really, really into it, the really, really into it people, like for like the second tier, I'll do like more in-depth, like law school type class things. Testing. Yes, I got that. Thank you. Um, they could settle, but why would Justin Baldoni want to settle? If he wants to go in for the kill, hey Sunday. So I think so, but listen, so they said we want 3 of the 4 weeks. Thank you guys. Hey Ellen. So they said, what about Patreon? I'll work on that. That's okay. All my free content's awesome. Yes, I saw Judge denied Ezra's request. You are unpopular in Reddit too. um, so Ezra said we need 3 of the 4 weeks of trial for plaintiff's case. And then, well, the memberships are like $7.99 a month. I'll take care of you guys. I'll make sure it's worth it. I got y'all. I get it. My bank account's been in the red. I understand. No worries. Don't feel pressure. Don't feel pressure. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. We're good. It's all good. But then Ellen Garofalo was like, we need the same amount of time. So now all of a sudden we're looking at a fucking 30 workday. Like she's like, I want 15 business days. And then I want 15 business days. We're looking at 30 business days. That's what they're saying they want. Hey, Hilltop. Thank you. A buy me coffee. Okay. I'll start that. So I think it's because California hasn't been kicked out yet. Okay. Tap the screen 5 times for 5 years of good luck. So what was I saying? So that was another thing. So then Michael Gottlieb was like, Your Honor, we're still waiting for your decision on 47.1. We're still waiting on your decision on FEHA. So can you wrap this up? And then I think that's another reason why he was like, can you stipulate and take away half the opinion that I have to write? Hit the like button. Thanks, Hannah. But if she's awarded damages against future. So now, are you guys ready for the expert stuff? She's not going to be awarded damages on future earnings. Okay. Damages on future earnings is super, super, super speculative unless you've got like concrete. Do you think they'll still want 6 weeks? I think we're not going to know for sure about the 6 weeks until the judge decides FEHA. If the judge decides FEHA and FEHA's kicked out, then it'll probably go back to that original timeline of 3 to 4 weeks. If it's not kicked out, I still don't think the judge is gonna he's gonna be like, you all need to trim this shit. And so he said, the Judge Lyman said, he's like, how much time do you think you're gonna need once the how much time are you gonna need to trim your exhibit list and your witness list once the motions for judgment order comes out? Motion for judgment on the pleadings comes out. Is it common? None of this is common. None of this is common. This case sucks. Excuse me. So I don't think we're gonna know for sure. This is all cutting it close. And honestly, guys, the reason it's cutting so close is because of the fact that the Wayfarer party team missed all of these FEHA arguments. They could have argued this shit in December. I was watching some shorts. Hey Heather, thank you. Thanks everybody for the donations. Don't forget to tap 5 times for 5 years. Good luck. Do all the things. But guys, okay, one of Blake Lively's experts literally wrote the book on lost profits. Okay. And one of the things that the expert said is you really can't predict lost profits when you're giving numbers that you're trying to get another company to invest. Okay. That's like, hold on. Now we're back. We're down to the, I don't have the thing, but okay. So, I'll read. All right. So Blake Lively's got a company. Blake Lively's got a company. Name that company. She's got a couple. Fucking Betty Booze, Betty Buzz, Betty Butthole, whatever. She's got a lot of fucking companies. Okay. When you are starting a company, you look for investors. Betty Bump. Yeah, whatever. I like Betty Butthole. When you start a company, you're looking for people to invest. And so you give investors numbers, okay? That like they're always like really positive and like positive numbers because you want to convince the investors that it's going to be a good investment. So these numbers, when you're always Betty Basement Bargains, that's funny. Betty Bots. Oh my God, I'm gonna keep track of all these. Okay. But when you send stuff to investors, like the documents are always positive. Okay. And so what Baldoni's team was saying is that this 38 to 138 million, part of that calculation was based on the projection that Blake Lively gave investors. And this guy wrote the book. And in his own book, he said that this is not accurate. He's like, this is not an accurate predictor of lost profits because everybody knows that you inflate numbers when you're looking for investors. So one of the objections to Blake Lively introducing experts with respect to her lost profits is the fact that they based it on inflated numbers. Yeah, he contradicts himself. The expert who wrote the book on lost profits contradicted himself. And typically, let me tell you guys how experts usually work. Okay. How experts usually work is you tell an expert, listen, however, whatever the logic is that you want to use, I need you to say this. How can you get to this conclusion? That's what we need. It's true, right? So fucking Michael Gottlieb or whoever was like, listen, I need you to say that the lost profits for these companies was tied to this, like, bot stuff. Go. And so then the expert has to like look at stuff and they have to like, kind of twist and bend the facts and stuff like that, just so that they can figure out a way to say the thing that their client wants them to say. That's true across the board, whether it's financial experts, fucking medical experts, economic experts, products liability experts. You tell the expert, I need this conclusion. And then the expert like twists themselves into a pretzel to get there. So this guy who wrote the freaking book said, like, you can use numbers for like that to send to investors. And they said, no, like, that's bullshit. The other thing that they said was in terms of lost income and lost profits, right? So I'm just going to do BB, Betty Booze, Betty Butt, whatever. So the other thing that they said with respect to lost profits is that this is a company and Blake Lively is a shareholder. Um, all right, well, shareholder. Okay. This is corporate law now. We're not in contract law anymore, land. Now we're in corporate law land. Okay. So in corporate law land, there's a lot of different factors when you're talking about the profits of a company. Okay. But Butterbutt or whatever the fuck it is, Betty Butt, Butterbutt, whatever, is not a plaintiff in this case. Betty Booze is not a plaintiff. Betty Hair Care, whatever the fuck, is not a plaintiff. Blake Lively is the plaintiff. But she's trying to say that the lost profits from her companies impacted her bottom line. Okay? It's not saying this is throwing that actually happened. I don't know what that means. So, guys, follow along if you can. So, what they were saying was the expert was talking about distributions. What distributions means is that sometimes companies give their shareholders payouts. Okay. But she had not gotten any payouts from her companies. So they can't count what they were saying is you can't count the profit info from this company because it didn't directly impact her bottom line because the company didn't send her money. There was no distribution. So she was using that 100 million plus as part of her company's value, but the companies are not parties. So she has to find a way to say is messing with my bottom line. And what Baldoni's team was saying, her hair care, her liquor, her whatever, none of those companies were paying her out money. So any lost profit isn't impacting Blake Lively. What was Michael Gottlieb's response to that? This is her brand. Okay. And so Michael Gottlieb got amnesia during the pretrial conference and was like, yeah, but this is Blake Lively's brand. And a decrease, value in this is a decrease in her brand. And then again, like Baldoni's side was like, that's just all guesswork and speculative. Okay. So that's one part of why they want to get the expert stuff out. Thanks for the likes, thanks for the shares, thanks for the things. So, um, the other thing that they were saying about the experts was, and you guys know, I think more about this part, is her work history. And the funny ass part where she was like, she lost the fucking ability to be in the sequel. That was funny. It was like, oh, but so she was like, they were like, you guys are trying to, you know, she's like, I lost the sequel because that was gonna happen. That was totally gonna fucking happen. Because they were like, another simple favor was like so much more successful than the original. That, it begins with us. What is that like? Anyway. So she was like more like this. But again, all speculative. There is no sequel in production. The fact that, Baldoni said, oh, she can direct, that was before you went fucking banana ape shit on the man. And you spent a year plus dragging him in court and in the media. So it starts with us, whatever. So that's, right, a broken relationship. So that's what I'm saying. So that was the argument against the experts. At the end of the day, when you have a $100 million gap between the bottom and the top range of what the damages are, that's too speculative. And courts have found that when it's that far apart and you really can't tell, it's not gonna like help the jury in any way. It's gonna like confuse the jury. Um, so that's why, thank you, Jack Rat. So that's why um when they were talking about how they want to do the trial, okay. Oops. They said you could bifurcate. Bifurcate. I think this is going to happen. I think the judge is going to bifurcate the trial. What does that mean? It means there's two parts. Part one is the trial, and there's only a part two if BL wins. Then they could do how much money does Justin Baldoni owe her. Blake Lively wants to put all this together in one trial. She wants to be like, oh, Justin Baldoni harmed me and he cost me all this money, find him guilty or liable, right? And they want to cut it in half. And then this is also going to save time on trial if she loses. Now it's not a 6-week trial anymore, right? Like, that takes out half their damn exhibits, is all this, these information with respect to her lost profits. So this is what they want, and this is typically what happens in these kinds of cases. So I think that the judge is going to grant the motion to bifurcate, and then that makes it even shorter. So if what I think happens, we got a breach of contract. If you've been watching, the letter K is the abbreviation for contract. Then we're going to have one trial on breach of contract, one breach of contract claim, which is paragraph 10 of the writer. That's it. Paragraph 10 of the writer is going to be the trial, and only if she wins, then they have to worry about all that lost profit stuff. So it'll make the trial simpler, it'll make the trial shorter, and it gets rid of a lot of irrelevant crap. Shashti Flaw thinks Justin said Blake is ready to direct sarcastically. I bet. I bet. Justin's like, let this bitch fucking do it. She thinks she's so slick. So that's what's going on. So when you hear like the lost profit range, like in the news, it's very sensational, right? But I feel like, again, this whole lawsuit has been like a PR campaign, a smear campaign. It's been a legal smear campaign. That's what this whole lawsuit has been, a legal smear campaign, and it's going to go to the very end. Oh, Baldoni cost 35 to 135 million dollars. You know, that's smearing somebody. It's just doing it legally because it's in relation to this freaking lawsuit. But all of that too, they know is speculative, and they know that their experts use like crappy formulas. Because the other thing was, I think the expert for the, I think it was for the alcohol, for the Betty Boos. But at some point, somebody said, listen, this expert calculated, um, maybe it was the hair products. I don't know. I looked through my notes. But the expert calculated a 1 year worth of profits based off of only 3 days of sales. And Baldoni's team is, that's not reliable. How the hell can you base a whole year on 3 days? They only had 3 days worth of data. And from that 3 days worth of data, he projected a year plus of potential lost profits. So this is BS. And then Judge Lyman caught them. Judge Lyman's slick, man. He knows his shit. So Judge Lyman caught them because I'm pretty sure this is the hair care product stuff. So Gottlieb tried to say that the hair stuff was comparable, like they had done the comparison of the hair care line to similar products. And Gottlieb said, I mean, Lyman said, no, that's not right. That's apples to oranges. They compared this to industry standards. So, like every hair care product, whole industry wide, they said where she might fall in that. So, I don't think that Judge Lyman is buying the arguments on lost profits submitted by Blake Lively. And then the other reason that I think he's not going to allow lost profits is this issue of standing, right? Because again, what did I say? It's only Blake Lively who's the plaintiff. So if Betty Buzz lost profits or Betty Boo's lost profits or the hair stuff lost profits, they would have to be plaintiffs. So the standing question, standing means, do I have the right to sue for somebody else? Standing means, does Blake Lively have the right to sue for Betty Buzz, for Betty Boo's, and for her hairline? And Baldoni's side said no, because she's a shareholder. And think about it this way, right? Like, you know how like on the stock market, like Apple has like thousands and thousands and thousands of shareholders. Thanks, Liz. Yay, thank you, Liz. Um, I couldn't sue on behalf of Apple if something bad happened to Apple. And I couldn't say, oh, that's because I'm a freaking shareholder, right? So case law says that if you're a shareholder, just because you're a shareholder doesn't mean, I think that's the law. I think the hair care stuff is the 3 days. That's the thing. Because for 3 days, they had really good sales. And then Blake Lively's shit went down. Shashti Fla uploaded the fucking interview. And by the way, oh my gosh, my neighbor Vicky is like in her 60s, not like super into pop culture. And then the other day, like I was telling her about the hearing, and I showed my if you guys haven't seen it, I was on Popcorn Planet with Andy and Carol. And so I was showing my neighbor like the Popcorn Planet video. And then my freaking neighbor was like, I hate Blake Lively. I fucking hate her. She's so mean. She's such a bitch. I was like, oh my God. Like Blake Lively is so screwed. I'm like, thank you. See, Kayla, yeah, no, I was like, she's fucked. As soon as her company, like, as soon as my neighbor said that, I was like, Blake Lively is so screwed. Um, but this is another reason why they're saying that the lost profits numbers are also bullshit. Because even though she's a shareholder of these companies, she doesn't have a right to sue for their lost profits. So there's a couple of different arguments to be made for why the expert like reports on lost profits will be excluded from trial because it's just too speculative. So while it makes for a good headline, Blake Lively's alleging 35 to 135 or whatever the number is, like in reality, that's again is a number for the public. It's all PR for the public, but I don't think that is going to get to be in front of the jury. That's what I'm saying. So the now Daubert, someone asked about Daubert. Daubert is a rule about expert testimony. Oops. Daubert. I think it's French. And then if you want to pronounce it, it's like Dow, like the stock market, and then bear, like the animal. Daubert. So I would never know much about Blake Lively. I wasn't even following the case, but somehow it caught my attention that Baldoni was in the basement next to a bunch of stacked chairs, and I thought that was odd. So, but there also is the argument that I guess it was Sony who did a marketing plan. I didn't like Blake Lively. That's why I haven't seen any of her movies. The only thing I've seen her in is The Town. And I'm pretty sure at some point in my life, I've watched the first Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but that was because I liked America Ferrera. Um, but I've never seen Gossip Girl. I've never I loved the book, the rhythm section, and I saw they cast Blake Lively, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother. So I didn't like Blake Lively or care about her one way or the other. Um, the shark movie. I don't even know what the shark movie is. Um, Neither Sony or Wayfarer gave permission. So that'll be like a evidence thing. But really, what the Baldoni team is going to need to really rely on is their timeline. And Judge Lyman said that the timeline could come in. And Judge Lyman on more than one occasion. So then they moved on to the social media experts. Okay. How could she be the different knowing? Yeah. She tried taking over the rhythm section. Yeah, and then her character does some evil shit. So maybe she wasn't even like acting that bad. Her character in The Town does like some evil shit. So I'm like, maybe that was just Blake Lively being her normal self. I don't know. Don't forget to tap 5 times for 5 years. Good luck. Um, so then they moved on to the social media expert. She only can appeal if she loses. And it depends on like why she would try to appeal. I don't think if Judge Lyman dismisses FEHA and she loses a trial, I don't think she would win that appeal because again, it's California law applying to stuff in New Jersey where there's no nexus. We are still talking about this because the tag team, haha, the tag team, the fucking tag team and the Wayfarer team forgot these two separate arguments for FEHA back when they filed their motions in December. If they had raised this back then, we probably wouldn't even be talking about FEHA anymore. This would all be down to like a breach of contract. How does jury decide on damages without the experts? Only when they, I think it's going to be bifurcated. So once Blake Lively wins, then they have another hearing and then they figure out what evidence is going to be admissible to the jury. Um, I think that the Forbes interview should be admissible because when you are under the federal rules of civil procedure, right? You can't introduce what they call like bad act evidence. like bad character. Like you robbed a bank 10 years ago, so you probably robbed this one. That's a criminal law example, but that's, So for Blake Lively, she is going to say that this shouldn't come in because it's evidence of bad act because she admitted to like conning people. And then Baldoni's response to that is going to be we're not showing it for character, but we are showing it to prove her business intentions. And the Forbes interview aligns perfectly with the PGA letter because everything that she said in the Forbes interview, she admitted to doing in the PGA letter. "Oh, I spent a year and a half trying to earn the title of producer. I did this, I did that, I did that, I did that." And then they eventually adjusted the contract. And now I can finally claim producer. That's exactly what she said she was going to do in the Forbes interview. So, for those two reasons, the fact that it aligns with her business practices is why I think the Forbes interview should come in. And then with the Shashti Fla interview, these people, Blake Lively's team, is putting a lot of emphasis on August 2024. And from the pretrial hearing, they were looking at the messages from Melissa Nathan, right? That's her name. And they do always tell. Guilty people always tell because guilty people can't stop talking. And guilty people can't keep track of shit. But y'all threw me off. You should watch Savages. I don't really like Blake Lively though, and there are only so many hours in the day. Um, what was I saying? Someone remind me. All right. Blake was removed from high profile side effects, who didn't later casting. Green Lantern. I don't know about that. Oh, Shashti Fla. Okay. Someone said whether or not the jury's going to like her if she takes the stand. Shashti Fla. Okay. During the pretrial conference, don't forget to share, tap 5 times for 5 years, good luck. During the pretrial conference, Michael Gottlieb spent a lot of time arguing about everything that they found with respect to the boosting and that plan or whatever in August. They're putting a lot of emphasis in August, and they were trying to argue in court that the only thing that caused Blake Lively's like popularity to go down was this social media effort. And even the judge at one point said, yeah, Forbes was 3 months before the circumcision meeting. But even the judge said, can't you concede that there were a lot of things going on in August 2024 that would explain why organically Blake Lively, started suffering in the public. Like the judge said that. So I think for that reason, Shashti Fla is going to come in because I saw her, I think I saw her interview with Billy Bush, and she was like, she saw It Ends With Us and was like, reminded of like this fucking trauma of this crazy ass interview with this like Blake Lively and Parker Posey were complete bitches and like tortured this fucking woman just because she said congrats on the bump. She's like, congrats on your bump. How about your bump? Oh, I got lovely lady lumps. You want to see my lovely lump? What about your lump? Oh, the men's clothes, the suspenders. And it's like, just fucking shut the fuck up, stupid bitch. Anyway. It's the first time I ever wanted to like smack the shit out of a pregnant person. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to just jump through the phone, and this was like 10 years ago. Like I was fucking aggravated. It's like, oh my God, ew, ew, ew. That is some like Regina George shit all day long. So that was just gross. So, but Shashti Fla was like, I did that shit like spontaneously after seeing It Ends With Us. So that is one of the things where the judge was like, so many other things were happening that could explain that. So that's why I say, like, if you guys saw my video of like what I would have said to Blake Lively, I'm like, I can't believe that you want to do this shit on purpose. Like, you want to do this on purpose. Like, you want to go to trial on purpose. Like, you want Shashi Fla to take the fucking stand and recount how you tortured her, and then the jury is gonna see this video. Thank you, Ricardo. What's going on? Like, um, and I'm like all of this stuff, like everybody who goes on the stand is gonna clown you. You get that, right? Like everybody's gonna make fun of you. Like the whole fucking purpose of this trial is that you're be like, oh, don't worry about it. I was supposed to be popular. This was supposed to be my moment. I was the star. I was the star. I was the producer. I was the producer. I was the co-director. I was HR. I called in all these favors. I fired AD Julie. I relocated the fucking thing from Boston to New Jersey, even though they probably negotiated good tax breaks for Boston, and I didn't do the same shit for New Jersey, and so they fucking wound up going over budget, and then I had them take all my fucking costumes all the way across town because my lazy ass couldn't be fucking bothered to get on the goddamn train to go across town to meet them where the fuck they were. So I made these fucking trucks go through Manhattan goddamn traffic. It caused hours and hours and hours of delay. I did all this work. I did all this work, and nobody likes me. Fucking Khaleesi. Right? That's what pissed off Khaleesi. She's like, I saved everybody's life, and no one cares. Two of my fucking dragons died, and no one cares. I'm a year apart from this dude, but just because he's my nephew, now he won't fuck me. You know what? Fuck everybody. Burn it all to the ground. I said that back then when that whole thing, like I was doing stand-up comedy at the time, and I was like, you know what? Jon Snow killed a whole community because he couldn't give up some dick. I mean, you needed to take one for the team. A woman's been through a lot. Do they not pull out like in fucking Game of Thrones time? Like you guys, I was like, all he needed to do was give her some dick, and the whole fucking town could have been saved. That was it. That was the straw that broke the dragon's back. She's like, I want some dick. I need to get laid. Right? You remember that? He's like, I can't. I was a bastard my whole life. I can't do that to another kid. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't. You'll always be my queen. You'll always be my queen. And she's like, either they love me or they're gonna fear me. And that's up to you. What is it? What's it gonna be? And this selfish motherfucker couldn't get an erection. That's what blew the whole thing up. Then she's like, let it be fear then. And she just left. And she's just like, they chopped off my best friend's head. My first dragon died and then came back to life as an evil ice dragon and then died again. So my one dragon died twice. And then my second dragon, like none of these fucking dragons can dodge. You know, like they can't swerve. No, they're just like gliding very slowly right in front of big fucking archers who've got these things. The ending was horrible. Um, Horrible. It was a horrible ending. Even the cast didn't like it. They were like, "Yeah, no, this was bullshit." The guy who played Peter Dinklage, who plays Tyrion, he said in an interview, he was like, "You know, you would think that the smartest character on the cast could figure out that maybe you don't hide in a crypt when the bad guy who's coming can raise the fucking dead. You'd think that a smart guy will figure that out, but no." Phil Tony wouldn't take one for the team. He just wouldn't fucking take one for the team. He's like, never with teeth. Bitch, I love my family. Imagine this whole shit could have been different if he was like, okay, come through next week and we'll play it out. You know what I mean? That one fucking text and one fucking response. She's like, what do you mean you love your family? What do you mean you're crying? I'm over here throwing myself at you. I have watched the dance scene. It's so stupid. Brand the Broken. Yeah, it was so stupid. It was so stupid. Like, but the good thing is that Bran has his own chair because the fucking dragon like burnt down the Game of Thrones throne, you know? He's like, fuck this chair. dragon was like, my fucking mom just made me kill all these people for this fucking chair, and then this guy killed her, and so fuck this chair. It was just such a bad ending to like it started off good. The problem with Game of Thrones is that they outpaced the books. Once they passed the books and they didn't have the books anymore, they made the now like obviously the creators of the show are not as good at creating stories as, the author of Game of Thrones. Yeah, so he has his own chair. He was like, "All right, well, I don't need the fucking big metal chair. I got my own. I'm Bran the Broken." It's so stupid. How about Bran the Badass? Bran the Baddie. What are other B words? Broken, bad, bombastic. It's anything other than fucking Bran the Broken. Because your brother is the one who threw him off a fucking ledge when he caught your sister and brother fucking. I don't think Tyrion should have been the one to name Bran the Broken. You know what I mean? Conflict of interest. Just saying. Just saying. Side note, Bran the Baller. That would have been good. Yeah, like she's just like, you'll appreciate that like Khaleesi, I have dragons. I'm like, her dragons died. This she died. Not a flex. Not a flex. And by the way, where the hell's your dragon now? Where's your Taylor Swift dragon? Don't forget to like, don't forget to share, guys. Yeah, I was like, where's your Taylor Swift fucking dragon now? I don't even think you're gonna be invited to that woman's wedding. Are you gonna do stand up again? I may at some point. The thing is, like, stand up is hard when you're not in a city. Like when I was in DC, I could walk or Uber very quickly to a bunch of rooms and then I'd be back in my apartment. But now I'm like out in the burbs, so I'm like at least an hour from good rooms. And then you go and you fucking like it's a long wait just for 5 minutes for like a 5 minute set. Comedy's hard. If you're a stand-up, that's a hard art form. Um, but yeah, Taylor is definitely the ice dragon. That's funny. Yeah, but her dragons died, except one, and then they never saw the one again. So not a flex. Not a flex. Her nephew boyfriend killed her. You know what I mean? That's not the character I would have gone for if I was trying to be like intimidating. If I was trying to be intimidating, I would have been like, I'm like, consider me John Wick. You hurt my fucking puppy, I will end everything for you. It won't just be, your life. It'll be the life of everyone you knew and once knew. If I was gonna try to threaten somebody and compare myself, I would say I'm John Wick or I'm the fucking equalizer. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say I'm Khaleesi. She dies. Aya, but she's faceless. Then she becomes fucking Christopher Columbus at the end of the goddamn movie. She's like, I'm gonna go west. She's like, what's west of Westeros? I'm gonna become Christopher Columbus, discover the Americas. I wouldn't want to be Aya. I do see Dave Neal every now and then. Dexter. Um, I saw the ballerina movie. That was okay. Thank you, CA. Billy the Girl. Cavalier. Ooh. Why did Blake do everything in Cali and not NYC? Was there a legal reason? I think it was because California law is much friendlier to plaintiffs. New York law does have like they recently did amend it so that their sexual harassment like equivalent does protect independent contractors, but I think the damages were higher in California, and I think the law itself was easier because in California, that's why remember when Lyman in the 152-page opinion, he was like, it's reasonable for a jury to find it was reasonable for Blake Lively to feel uncomfortable. So maybe that too, 47-1. But either way, FEHA is the entry. and um the standard is much lower. So yeah, so that like there's higher damages, but and it's also lower, it's a threshold. So that's why they picked. It was forum shopping, basically. But that's why you can't, if you lose California, then you can't, okay, let's try New Jersey. You don't get to do that. You have to pick one state from the very beginning. Um Reacher, that's a good one. Did you guys see the actor beat the shit out of his neighbor who fucking was messing with him on his bike? That was funny. Um, he wouldn't take the yummy honey trap bait. That's just so weird. These people, I feel like they wanted to swing or they wanted to like do something with him. The three of them, they wanted to do some kind of threesome of some sort because that's just the whole thing is fucking weird. These people spend a lot of time talking about male genitalia. I will say that between the perineum, the ball busting, the when I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth. Like there's a lot of, hey Poland, what's going on? Yeah, there's a lot of just like odd behavior coming out of both of those people that now they're apparently like passing on to their children. So it's just odd. The whole thing is just odd to me. Please swear more. I love it. Okay. Fuck. It's like I can't win. People are like you swear too much. It's hard to listen to. Um. So I've been trying to like I'm like okay I could receive that. Um. Confessions of a jade jaded optimist. That's a cool name. Jaded optimist. Oxymoron. Yeah, they're odd. It sucks because I've never been a Blake Lively fan, but I actually did really like Ryan Reynolds. I've seen a bunch of his movies. The one that was like the most stressful for me was the one he was buried alive. Did you guys see that one? He was a soldier in the Middle East and he got buried alive and he was like he managed to get his phone. That was like intense. So I've liked Ryan Reynolds, but now I'm like I can't picture him without the image of him like spreading his butt cheeks so someone could do like a perineum tattoo. I mean, this is gross. Just gross. I like the Adam Project. I thought, you know what I mean? Like I liked Ryan Reynolds, and now I just feel like everything's ruined. He's gonna be bending over, like holding his butt open. You know, you guys are like, "Zzz," and his asshole. He's like, ah. Um, Jack Ryan needed help coming out, and Baldoni denied him. That's funny, also. Ah. But also then, because like Ryan Reynolds too, with that interview with Brendan Sklenar, the pumpkins, someone else pointed me to that one. And I'm like, he's like, "Oh, is those little pumpkins that you got in your like back pocket or in your jeans or something like that?" I was just like, what the hell is going on with these people and like complimenting male private parts? Is that supposed to be cute? Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't see any other fucking celebrities doing that shit. You've never heard Ben Affleck offer to get a tattoo on his perineum. You know what I mean? This is odd. It's just odd. It's just odd. Ben Affleck, man. Smartest man in Hollywood. She was like, "Dear Ben, don't hang up." He was like, "Okay, delete." Delete. I was like, "Oh shit." He was like, "That's not the right form of communication." Chink, moving on with my day. I would have been like, if I took her deposition, oh my god, that would have been such a fun question. I'm like, "Miss Lively, can you read this? Dear Ben, don't hang up." I'm like, "Why did you say don't hang up? Did you not realize that this was the different form of communication and maybe the appropriate thing to say would have been don't delete? Do you think if you had written don't delete, you might have gotten a response?" That's funny. Like, "Hi, it's Blake." He's like, "No." I don't know. It's a rumor, but who knows about rumors? I don't know. Ben had one narcissist to deal with, he wasn't adding another. Billy, hey, is Justin B now set up with good lawyers for trial? Yeah, I mean, I listen, I found Ellen Garofalo to be really impressive, and it was really funny because Ellen Garofalo is, she's an OG, like, she's an older lady, probably around the same age as Lyman, and, like, um, I can't remember his name, but there was a lawyer for the Baldoni side, and the Baldoni lawyer was arguing, like, the expert stuff, and he did a good job. He was arguing the social media stuff. But the social media arguments and the lost profit arguments were very, very technical. So they took the whole like time. They took the whole 15 minutes, right? And then it was Ellen Garofalo's turn, and her issue was whether or not Baldoni had the right to defend himself. And so she like used like a tiny fraction of her time. Well, but Ellen Garofalo just like got to the point. She was super concise. She knew her shit. She was like, I don't need to take any more of the clerk's time, like the court's time. Like this is a pretty common sense thing. A person is allowed to defend themselves, especially when there's enough facts that go to the jury about whether or not the retaliation was because of this quote unquote protected activity or whether it was because there was a sufficient break in time between the beginning. It wasn't Fitz, but and the action itself. It wasn't Fitz. It was somebody else. I have to look him up, but he did a good job on the technical stuff. Um, everything. I think everybody on the Baldoni side did a good job. The Baldoni side is feeling comfortable. Like I said, I liked Ellen at least as far as the pre-trial conference goes. I thought she was the best at arguing. Clearly, the lively side is like I said, they're on the fucking Titanic, and so Ezra Hudson was shook. Ezra Hudson couldn't even answer like brand the bland. Fair. Um, Ezra Hudson got really nervous, and I felt bad for her, actually. That's hard. It's hard to do oral argument in court, especially they weren't there, Shapiro and Bach weren't there, especially when you like know your argument sucks. So he was a new guy, I think. So she was kind of shaky, and then like she couldn't wrap her head around like a hypothetical that Lyman was giving her. Like Judge Lyman was like, assuming for the sake of argument, blah blah blah, and the hypothetical was against her position, so she couldn't like accept the hypothetical. So she has a little bit farther to go, I think, in terms of her oral argument ability. Um, Fabian, maybe. I mean, they said their names so fast and they didn't spell their names when they announced themselves, so it was hard to like, you know, really make sure I got everybody's names. Weird that a husband would be okay with his wife sending a note like that to an ex-love with little private jokes from the past. Felt pimp-like. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Diddy. Like when Diddy was pimping out Cassie, you know? And Diddy's like, I want to watch Cassie have sex with this prostitute. That's what this shit sounds like, only the white version. It's like the weird white person version. It's like, I'll get tattoos on my perineum if you knew how fucking I strenuously send my greetings. Hello, aloha, Amy. Um, so yeah, it's just odd to me. Their whole they have some kind of fetish thing happening, I think. I think there's a lot of stuff that both sides are like, we're not gonna turn this over. It's like, can we agree behind scenes? Yeah, I remember that movie, and like when I was clerking, we used to talk about it all the time. He's like, I strenuously object. Ezra's in her 30s. She should be more confident or competent. What's her graduation year? Let's look her up. and then I will tell you if I agree. But yeah, it's like, oh, I strenuously object. Why didn't you say so? In that case, like, um, Ezra Hudson from Minot Phelps. She's a partner. Okay. When did she graduate? 1999. Yeah, she should be a lot better. It wasn't different lawyers. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that doesn't look like this doesn't look like the same person. I feel like it was a much younger person who argued, and she had longer hair and darker hair. So I don't think it was Ezra Hudson. Um, I graduated high school in '99. Life was a lot simpler in 1999. I had a pager, and like that was it, and quarters. And I feel like fuck, man, it hasn't really been that goddamn long, but I guess it has. You know what I saw? For those of you who saw like Dirty Dancing, like at the beginning, it was like 1983, and she's like, "Oh yeah," or like 1980, whatever, and like, "Oh, this is the summer of '63," and they're like, that Dirty Dancing taking place today would be like, "Oh, it was the summer of 1999." um, Judge Lyman just ruled something. Okay. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. Tap 5 times for 5 years. Good luck. Oh man, it was funny. Like I was telling my girlfriend, do you guys know the story of like when I was like drunk in the office? Have I told you guys that one? Um, so in Big Law, you stay really late. Um, yeah, yeah, we saw that. He said, well, I'm not letting you write a 5-page letter." Um, Catfishing. That's funny. That's fucked up. So, so in federal court, you're allowed to file electronically until 11:59 p.m. So one night, my best friend was working on a filing, like a partner had given her like all his edits and stuff, like handwritten. And he was like, incorporate these edits. I'm leaving. You just make sure that it's filed by 11:59 p.m. So I went out, and this is the drunk story. So I went out with some people, maybe around like 10. We went across the street, had some drinks, had some food, whatever. I come back. I'm tipsy. I go to my best friend's office. Now it's 11 o'clock. Okay. And in her office, like she had her back to the glass. It was like a floor to ceiling window. So, and it was dark. So you, from the glass, you could see the reflection of the two monitors that she was using. Hey, Isa. Don't forget to thumbs up. So she had these things. So I could tell she was working, but I'm tipsy. So let me get this out of the way. So I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but I can be a little bit of an asshole. So I burst into her office. I'm like, "Hey, girl, what's going on?" And she's like, "I'm fucking working. I'm working. Hey, Stacy and Tulum. Tulum is beautiful." Um, and I'm telling a story about when I was a junior associate. Okay, 'cause I was a junior associate in big law in litigation, and my girlfriend was like working feverishly. And I walk in there, and like she had like like one of those heaters, you know. So I, for whatever reason, I climb onto the heater, and I like press myself up against her glass, like window. And I'm like looking down, and we're like in a fucking, skyscraper-ish building. So like I think we're on 28th floor or something like that. And like teeny tiny taxis, teeny tiny like red lights, you know. So I was like, "Have you ever noticed how far up we are?" And this girl is like, "Could Teresa?" Teresa, I'm fucking working. I don't know what to say. fucking hung up. I'm like, it makes you think about life, doesn't it? She's like, what the fuck is wrong? She's like, I'm not even turning around. I'm not even turning around. I got like, now I'm like down to 30 minutes. So that was funny. But there was another time, right? Because these were like the hard copy days where I had to, we had a discovery deadline. Okay. And I had to run to FedEx to send out discovery. And I am not a runner. Even back then, and I was very thin and in very good shape back then, I'm not a runner. But when I fucking tell you, no, it was all research. But when I tell you I knocked over old people because I had to sprint down fucking Park Avenue, okay, to get to the fucking FedEx before they closed, before the last thing went out at 11 p.m. And it's 10:50 and I'm 6 blocks away. Okay. And I'm fucking sprinting. I'm like shoving people out of the way. And then, like, finally at the end, I'm like just losing steam, but I needed to get there. And then there was like this little, she was right in the fucking way. I was like, God damn it, both. And so I pushed this little fucking old lady. And then I burst into the FedEx office. I'll never forget this. Okay. I burst into the FedEx office and I like threw like a frisbee. threw and then I'm like doubled over and I'm breathing and I'm like, I can't fucking breathe because I just ran 6 fucking blocks, like shoving people, dodging taxis. They have the right of way, and I'm like, fuck you. And I'm like, it's New York, god damn it, I'm a fucking pedestrian, like moving and shit. And I doubled over and I was like panting. And the fucking FedEx guy was like, whatever they're paying you is not enough. It's like, it's not enough. Oh my god. And I was like, I know. I was like, I know. But I don't know what else to do. I'm trapped. I'm trapped. Oh my god. It was so funny because what, like, literally, guys, you don't know. I don't know if you know, if anyone can relate, right? To the feeling that like my life has taken a turn and I don't know how to fucking like get fix this track. But the second day at my law firm. Okay, I graduated in 2007. I worked for a judge. So then in 2008, 2 weeks before the real financial crisis hit, I start. Okay. So my second day, I'm walking down the hallway and you just hear this man like screaming, fuck you, you're a fucking piece of shit. Your parents should be ashamed. Like, you're a fucking waste of space. You're a waste of air. Like, dot, dot, dot. Like, you're an asshole. Like, I'm gonna fucking kill you and I'm gonna kill your family and I'm gonna do all these things. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then, like, they were like, oh, they forgot an exhibit. So the door opens, okay? And two grown ass men had fucking bloodshot eyes and like tears coming, right? And then the partner, Howard, comes out. And I had walked down the hall already, right? Because I didn't want to be by that. And the night before, like, I had like, it was like my first day I had to pull an all-nighter. And then this guy was like, Teresa, you were amazing last night. And then everyone turns to look at me, and I'm like, I've made the wrong choice. I made the wrong fucking choice. This guy is like making grown men cry and then fucking screaming at me that I was amazing down the hall because I fucking was up all night making photocopies. That's what I did in my first all nighter. We were all in the print room because it was a fucking huge, huge, huge $1 billion like bankruptcy because it was during the financial crisis. and we had to fucking like make 35 copies of these 100 pages of things. So all I did all night long was make copies and then by the time the partner came, I was like, this is my first day. My first day didn't end. It was like Grey's Anatomy. Your first shift lasts 48 hours. It's like, it's like you're a litigation associate. You're the bottom of the fucking food chain. So that's big law. That was my introduction. I even called my judge. I'm like, it's day 3. I'm like, how do I how do I get the fuck out of here? Ah, Sigrid seems nervous for someone who's a spokesperson. I don't know who that is. Ezra never comments publicly. The firm that I was with has since merged with another firm, so it's not the same firm. It's a different kind of firm now. Ezra snubbed Katie Inc. outside the courtroom. Oh, well, I mean, what is like? I didn't even bother introducing myself to any partners because they're busy. If I talk to someone, it'll be at the end of the trial. Like they're fucking busy. Like they're on trial. Grey's Anatomy's hospitals also merge. Yes, it's like that. Big Law seems like a sorority. It is. It can be, but it's mostly like it's more of a frat than a sorority. It's more like the partners are like, you know, their clique, their man team. Hey, Kiwi. Hey, I don't know how to say some of your like things, but it's a frat. Okay. And then they'll pull their boys, the guys that are like younger than me or older than me, whatever, and they'll be like, come on, let's go have lunch. Let me mentor you. Like, come on, let's go to the fucking golf range and we'll swing some fucking clubs or whatever the hell it is. Like, they'll do that with all the boys. Okay. And then there are some women who sleep their way to the top, for lack of a better word or phrase. There were some girls, some women who would go to work and with the like 6-inch Louboutins, you know, and then the freaking like tight shirts and like down to here shirts with her notebook, like almost like Mad Men, but like going down the hallway to the partner's office. To this one partner, like, okay, so when you're on trial, okay, you guys don't leave. You're there the whole time. And this one associate woman got pregnant while they were on trial, and they were like, how the fuck could she get pregnant? She hasn't left this building. And it was because she has been fucking a partner. So eventually, like, this woman had 2 kids during 2 separate trials. She got pregnant, which she wasn't leaving the fucking building because they were together all the time, round the clock. And then, like, a few years later, apparently they both left their spouses and got with each other. But that was a fucking scandal. But there were definitely like young junior associates who were like, my cousin's daughter was murdered. Jesus. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Um, so yeah, but so there's a lot of like, because again, you're with these people 15, 16, 17 hours a day. There was one time, so I clerked, right? And then one of my co-clerks went to the best firm in New Jersey. And so one night she called me and I put her on speaker and she was in her car and it's 7 o'clock. And I'm like, what? Where are you? And she's like, I'm going home. I'm like, now? It's only 7. And she's like, yeah. Like, what time do you go home? I'm like, not 7. I'm like, we're not even allowed to order dinner until 9 o'clock. Fuck are you doing? And then I'm like, she only makes $20,000 less a year and you're going home at 7. And then like one night I was in the elevator with my friend because we were going down to get dinner. It was like 10 something. And I was like, "What time do you think you're leaving tonight?" And he was like, 12. He's like, "What about you?" I'm like, "About, I think around 12, 12:30." And we looked at each other and we were like, "Not bad. That's a pretty like early night." Midnight is early in Big Law, just so you guys understand, like the Big Law culture. Um, Coldplay concert, but except you got away with a lot more shit because there wasn't so much social media. So everyone in our office knew that these people were like fucking like rabbits during trial, but no one else did. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. I mean, I met all my friends, like friends that I had dinner with on Tuesday night. Those were the people from my very first law firm. So that's why I was saying, like, when I showed up to, yeah, you make mistakes because you're tired, of course. Um, and then you get yelled at by the partner who threatens to kill you and your family because you were so fucking tired you forgot to put in an exhibit. And even though it's not that big a deal, in big law, it's a big fucking deal because they don't want to show weakness. So they don't want to show, oh, that they had to amend because of a mistake, or that they don't want to show that, oh, we need an extension. They don't ask for extensions. So, you know, but my girlfriends are from that I had dinner with this week are from that time. And so that's why I was like, these people are cute, like with the six associates, because it's kind of like you're in a war together. You know what I mean? Like you've been through the trenches. So I hope that those six associates, like wherever their careers eventually go, that they all stay in touch because they had these fucking 8 boxes of documents that were worthless. There was no need for them. It was just for show. Blake Lively had 19 partners. Imagine a partner who charges $1,500 to $2,000 an hour. And Michaela was there with her laptop. Michaela was cool though, because Michaela got to sit with the big dogs. She had a chair against the wall, but she got to sit in the big dog table. The other junior associates, those six, they had to sit in the audience. They're like, there's not enough room for you. Because every fucking partner and their mother from Loki Forest decided that this is what they need to do with their time, is to come and watch this shit. When all you need is the people who argue and someone to take notes. That's it. Um, but Michaela's an eighth year, so she's up there. So she was there like taking notes. Um, so that was funny. But yeah, like it reminds me of like I have stories for days. Um, yeah, billable hours sucks. And it's a lot. But that was funny. My friend was like, "It's 7 o'clock. I'm leaving." But like my girlfriends and I would be like 8 o'clock. She was at a firm. She was a corporate lawyer. Excuse me, like on Park Avenue, and I was on Third Avenue, and we would meet at a Starbucks in the middle. And she would call me at 8 o'clock at Starbucks. I'm like, "Yep." And so that's how we like met up, and then we would go back to our fucking um respective law firms until really late. So yeah, trauma bonding is a really good way to say that friendships in big law forge. Why don't you think Blake Lively has spent at least $50 million? Because that's a lot of money. Like this hasn't been it's been a lot of work. I don't think listen, don't you think $10 million is a lot of money? I think she spent up to $10 million over the course of a year and a half. And at trial, when everyone is on the team and everyone's working around the clock in a short amount of time, it's kind of like you're putting a year and a half worth of work into a really condensed time frame. Oh yeah, she had to pay for every single person, partner or associate there. That's what I'm saying. It was like a $50,000 $60,000 conference for her. So I think we're looking at a $10 million trial and $10 million. So I think it's fair to say 20 to $25 million is what Blake Lively will have paid for this lawsuit. And all the evidence that comes out is like it just makes it worse for her. So this has just been one of the most self-destructive things I've ever seen. It's odd, 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 odd. What do you think? Do you think they know they are wrong or are they convinced they're right? Fucking Ryan Reynolds is like, I've never been prouder. This bitch is like, thank you for fucking saving retaliation and digital violence is real. Um, I thought one of her expert filings cost 250. Maybe. But even if Even how many experts does she have? That's $1 million for experts. There's still $9 million, you know? And these people charge by the hour. Yeah, it's like Big Law. Devil Wears Prada is like Big Law. I bet Ryan wishes he stayed with Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, so I don't think they're gonna admit to making a mistake. That's why I don't think they're gonna settle. And I will say, right? So when I was there, the partner, one of the partners, one of the many partners who showed up from Wilkie Farr was like, I'm gonna go take a look around and find the cafeteria and find out all the bathrooms. And they were like, because we're gonna be here a month on trial. So I want to get the lay of the land. So I know the Blake Lively team is definitely planning on going to trial, but based on their shakiness, they're also planning to lose. But they're gonna fight to the bitter end. Um, what do you think the fees are gonna be? So, like I'm saying, like, um, Michaela's probably 800 an hour, and then the junior associates are probably like $500 to $600 an hour, and then depending if you're a junior partner, you're $1,200 an hour, and then if you're Gottlieb is probably 2 grand an hour. So if you take everybody and average it out to $1,000. Some people are less, some people are more. And she had 19 people there. Blake Lively spent $19,000 an hour for that pre-trial conference. And that pre-trial conference was 3+ hours plus people prepared before. So that's like a $60,000, $65,000 conference. Round up to 20. Yeah, so let's say $20,000. It's not 400. It's what did I just say? It's $20,000 an hour. So 2, 4, 6, 60 grand just for the conference. The conference was 3 hours. And then those 6 associates were there. Add another hour. So we're talking about like a six. That's what I was like. You don't need, like, you don't need 19 lawyers. You don't think Justin Baldoni will work in the industry again? I do. Why wouldn't he? I feel like by the end of this whole thing, he's going to be like vindicated. He's not going to be able to bring his contract claims, but he'll still be vindicated. Everyone thinks Blake Lively's the one who's fucking nuts. Yeah, they pay for their food. Yeah. So when you work on a case and you're there around the clock, a lot of times the clients will pay for food just because they don't want you to leave. It takes time. It's really hard to get justice without money. Lawyers are expensive. This is like a really expensive petty like dispute. That's why I was saying in another video like much earlier, I was like it must be really really nice to be fuck you rich. That's what this is. This is I just happen to have $20 million laying around, so let me fucking spend it ruining this dude who gave me every single thing that I asked for. Like everything. I wanted the 17 points, he gave me the 17 points. I wanted to do the pass at the roof, he let me do the fucking pass at the roof. I wanted to do all this shit, he let me do all this shit. Like he gave her everything except that dick. Oh man. You know what I think? I think at the end, I don't know if you guys saw, but I was like at the end of the yeah, at the end of the trial, I think what Justin Baldoni should do, because after the trial, you're allowed to talk to the jurors, and ask them questions like, "What did you think of the trial? What argument convinced you? What didn't convince you?" You're allowed to poll the jury. That's what they call it. So, hey Priscilla. So I think that Justin Baldoni should get a copy of Deadpool versus Wolverine and sign it. Nice pool, Justin Baldoni for all the jury members. Can you imagine? It'd be 12. unique copies signed by Justin Baldoni. It's like a souvenir. Giving fucking the cast the jury, signed copies of Deadpool versus Wolverine. That wouldn't that be like the ultimate fuck you though to Ryan Reynolds? I think so. See, I would be petty. I would be like, listen, Justin, sign these. I mean, yeah, I'd be like, sign these. Just do it for me. Just do it for me. I'll give it to them. You don't have to give it to them directly. I'll just be like, here, this is from us. It ends with us and this fucking signed copy of Deadpool versus Wolverine. So funny. What is the problem with Colleen Hoover? Like, there are so many books. I found this bookstore in the South Street Seaport on Tuesday, and it had more books than I've ever seen in my life. It was one of the biggest library bookstores I've ever seen. And it had all these books from all these categories. And the romance section was huge. And like all these different sections were fucking huge. I'm like, Colleen Hoover has written a couple of mediocre books. Like, what the fuck is up with this like intense desire to be on Colleen Hoover's metaphorical penis? Like, I don't get it. So I'm like, just pick another fucking book. There's lots. You know what Reese Witherspoon did? Reese Witherspoon started a book club. She started a fucking book club. And then depending on what book was popular, she made a goddamn movie about it or a series. Why don't you do that? So what's Verity? Um, Colleen Hoover is on drugs, and if she's not, she needs to be. Listen, I bet you she started. She's got to be at least smoking weed. Colleen Hoover said, "Fuck this. All I wanted was to make a movie of my book." Oh no, mentira, not like that. She's like, all I wanted. Colleen Hoover's like, all I wanted was to make a copy of my book. I unfollowed because Blake Lively told me to. That's Colleen Hoover. That's Colleen Hoover right now, I think. Um, allegedly. Allegedly. In my mind's eye, that's how I picture it. But this is all for entertainment and educational purposes only, and any similarities to persons real, living, or deceased is entirely coincidental. Hashtag disclaimer. Your girl knows how to do a fucking disclaimer. Oh my gosh. I'm so me. I'm so funny. When she gets the munchies, she eats the smear campaign cookies. She smells like Colleen Hoover. That it all ended with Blake. So you can't really. So when someone interferes, you guys you sue the person who interfered. So technically, if Sony wanted to, they could have also sued Blake Lively for interfering with their contracts with Wayfarer slash Justin Baldoni. Um, but Blake Lively is the one who interfered. So Blake Lively, like Colleen Hoover, could have sued Blake Lively. The problem is that the movie was successful, right? So there are no damages to Sony financially, and there are really no damages to Colleen Hoover financially, except for the fucking aggravation. So, you know, I think that's why they didn't sue her, but they could have in theory. Have you read any of Jed's filings? Specifically his second. Okay. So this is another case that I have to get up to speed on. Justin she's so since you said that, confessions. Thanks, Jose. Thank you, thank you. Just got here. What do you think of the stipulation? I think the stipulation was smart. I think the stipulation was smart because I think it makes Judge Lyman's job a lot easier. I think the stipulation is not going to matter because I think FEHA is going to get kicked out in the motion for judgment on the pleadings. So the fact that they stipulated is not going to matter. And then I think it's going to come down to just one breach of contract claim. But you guys, I wanted to tell you this part. Michael Gottlieb, at one point, that's what he rolled his eye. I can't remember exactly what the fucking judge rolled his eyes at, but at one point, Michael Gottlieb was talking about how he wanted to question the jury about their social media usage, right? And then fucking Michael Gottlieb is like, we want to know if anybody has really strong feelings for any of these people. And then he's like, because these these jurors might be passive participants in the smear campaign. He's like, jurors might unknowingly be passive participants in the smear campaign. As soon as he said that, I thought to myself, I'm like, are they about to add me to this fucking lawsuit? Am I a passive participant in this fucking smear campaign? That reminded me of the freaking Megyn Kelly video. She's like, she can't fathom that I came to my revulsion on my own. I have to be part of a fucking smear campaign. So basically, before the jurors even get there, Michael Gottlieb was like, they might be passive participants in the fucking smear campaign. Because if the juror doesn't like Blake Lively, clearly it's because of whatever the hell Tag did in August 2024. That was funny. And then I even said to fucking Carol, I'm like, are we passive participants? I was like, are we passive participants? Is everyone on this live a passive participant in the fucking Blake Lively smear campaign? Who knows? That was funny. So that might have been where Lyman rolled his eyes, because then Lyman was like, listen, I imagine you're not the way that the way Gottlieb wanted to ask the questions about social media was like, Lyman was like, I can't imagine anybody except federal judges, wink, wink. And then I was like, you're protesting too much. You know that your user 895274165. You know what I mean? Lyman is scrolling. Because Lyman is like, it doesn't escape me that there's a lot of interest in this case. I'm like, okay, user 9862545. You know? Is Lyman a passive participant? Because he ruled against fucking Blake Lively. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so weird. They're like, any negative thing that happens to Blake Lively has to be part of like this fucking smear campaign. So that's why I was dying. Like internally, I can't laugh out loud in court, but internally I was dying because internally I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this fucking man is like 2 years later almost from when this all happened. He's literally saying the jury might be passive participants in a fucking smear campaign. Okay. There's not going to be a bench trial. They want a jury trial. You don't want a bench trial. A bench trial is losing because Judge Lyman is smart. You want a jury. A bunch of people might be stupid. Hey, Judge Lyman. A bunch of people might be fucking stupid. Like, I remember, like, maybe a month ago, I saw, like, the text message where Blake Lively was like, I gotta lose 20 pounds. And then Justin Baldoni said thumbs down. And I did a video and I was like, what do you guys think that this means? And 99% of you guys were like, thumbs down means he's being supportive. Like, no, you don't have to lose 20 pounds. Like, you're okay. You got it. As someone came left and was like, I could see why he would go like this and be like, fuck, now I got to keep lifting weights. Damn, you got to lose 20 pounds. That sucks. Let me bulk up more. And I'm like, I mean, I guess I can see how you can reach that conclusion, but you know, that just goes to show like something that seems completely logical to everybody there's always going to be like this one person who's like, no, no, no. He wasn't saying thumbs down to be supportive and be like, no, you don't have to lose weight. He was being, hey, I'm thumbs down because fuck, now I got to call the personal trainer and find out exactly how much you weigh because then I got to figure out exactly how much I have to lift because I have some fucking disc issues in my back. You suck, Blake Lively. You still got to lose 20 pounds. That's the 1%. So I think he should win a trial. Can I say for sure he will? Of course not, because people are dumb. So just depends on how many dumb people they get on the jury. Tell Blake to get a grip and eat some cookies. Um, so that's why people usually go for a jury trial or a bench trial because the judge is smart. You let the judge decide the law and the facts. Judge Lyman's like, we don't need 4 weeks. This was Judge Lyman's bench trial. He's like, you guys get a week, you guys get a week, and I'm gonna make up my mind. Um, so damn, it's been 150 minutes that I've been on this live. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I appreciate all of you. And are people really dumb, New Yorkers? Yeah, I think the jury usually has to be unanimous in civil court. I think they got 12. Some have 9, some have 6. I think this is a 12-person jury. And but here's the thing, right? The standard is a lot lower. You only got to be 51% sure. That's what they say, it's a preponderance of the evidence. So you guys as a potential jury would be, is it 51% likely that Justin Baldoni retaliated with PR because of the January meeting? Or did he retaliate because of everything that she and Ryan Reynolds did in May, June, July? 51%. Which one do you put 51% on? That's the jury question, essentially. So it's a much lower standard than beyond any reasonable doubt. That's why I always say OJ Simpson's a good example because he was found not guilty criminally because it was beyond a reasonable doubt. But when he was sued for wrongful death, he was found liable because the jury found it was a 51% shot that he killed, his wife and her friend. She got another IG community note. Are they gonna have smear campaign cookies at the trial? I was thinking, I'm like, depending on how, like, how I'm doing on fundraising, I'm like, maybe I'll just bake a bunch of fucking smear campaign cookies and like sell like little dollar packets to people who are online. You should do voting polls with these questions in your channel. Good idea. Good idea. Something to do for next time. So Liz Plank wrote an article, and I think one of the slides kind of shades Justin. I don't know. Was the January meeting the 5-hour? No. The January meeting was when Blake Lively said she wasn't going to go back to work unless they put that 17-point list of protections in place. So that was the meeting that they then signed the rider agreement. And then the paragraph 10 was like, you won't be sarcastic or change your attitude or do whatever. So that this whole case, this whole tragedy is going to come down to a breach of contract. It was like, he promised he wouldn't look at me sarcastically. And instead, he broke that promise and he hired bots. No, Taylor Swift can't get sued. There's nothing to get sued for. She looked at something, she pitched it. That's it. She called somebody an asshole or a bitch or whatever the hell she did, but that was a private communication. It wasn't like she went on TikTok and did that, or she went on Twitter or X, whatever. So, the fact that Blake Lively had these like one-on-one messages, again, just goes to show like her business intent, but it doesn't mean that like Taylor Swift or Matt Damon or his wife or whatever are on the hook for anything. It's a Jamie he step up. I know he berated him for hours and hours, but I don't think that was a January meeting. Wasn't it a separate thing? Were they the same meeting? I thought it was a separate meeting. But if it was the same meeting, then that's also stupid and bananas. This whole case is bananas to me. Wow. Well, this whole case is bananas. Okay, well, I stand corrected. Um, and then they signed a stupid contract um that had like some of the worst terms ever. You shall not fucking change your sarcasm. Thanks, Yvette. Um, but anyway. All right, guys. I've been on for a couple hours. So I'm gonna jump. But thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the donations and the support. If you want your this is only the first one. I have other mugs and other designs coming through. So I will keep you posted and update the merch on my website. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Thanks for the donations and all the love. And I'm gonna try to do these like nightly, every night of the trial, just to answer any questions. Um, so cheers.